Okay, good day everyone. Now we are on the Unit 2 of Math 1, a theory of relations and functions. Okay, before we enter to the main topic of this presentation, here are the what we call the diagram of our topics. So, a theory of relation and function subdivide into three: the two-dimensional coordinate system, relations, and a function. Under ng relation, nando ng relation, domain, range, and the rule. Under naman ng relations, nando ng graph of relations such as, for example, parabola, circles, ellipse, hyperbolas, conic sections. On the other way, yung functions naman, ay may tinatawag tayong algebraic functions and non-algebraic functions. So, under ng algebraic function ay yung polynomial functions, rational functions, square root functions, conditional function, absolute value functions. And yung mga non-algebraic functions, so meron tayong dalawang example, exponential function and logarithmic function. Also, under ng algebraic functions, we have the properties of functions. So, functions classified by association, analytic properties of functions, algebraic properties and of function. At itong tinatawag natin na yung last part ay yung model o yung tinatawag natin na functions are as real-world models. Okay? Okay, next. Objectives. At the end of this unit, you must be able to define relations, functions, and inverse functions. Second, state the domain, range, intercepts, and symmetry of the functions and relations. Third, differentiate relations from functions. Fourth, perform operations on functions. And the last, sketch the graphs of functions and their inverses. A theory of relation and function. In at most every branch of mathematics, the concept of relation, specifically of function, is very important and useful. Relation, specific type of correspondence between elements of two sets. If we restrict our sets to be the set of real numbers and its subsets, the corresponding values of two such related sets can be regarded as pair of numbers. Hence, a system which produces an association between a point and an ordered pair of numbers is necessary. So we have a two-dimensional coordinate system. So let us recall first the cross product. Let A and B be non-empty sets. So the cross product of big A and big B, denoted by A cross product B, is the set of all ordered pairs, comma X, the set of ordered pairs X, comma Y, such that X is an element of A and Y is an element of B. Therefore, A cross B is equal to the set of all X, comma Y, such that X is an element of A and Y is also an element of B. For example, number 1. So we have a set A, an elements of 1, 2, 3, and the set B, an elements of 4, 5. If we're going to look for the A cross B, we have the set of all ordered pairs 1, comma 4, 2, comma 4, 3, comma 4, and for other ordered pairs, we have 1, comma 5, 2, comma 5, and 3, comma 5. Second, so the capital R is the set of all real numbers. So therefore, R cross R is the set of all x, comma y such that x is an element of R and y is also an element of R. In example number 2, each element of R cross R is an ordered pairs x, comma y. Hence, the R cross R, where R is an element of real numbers, is the set of all x, comma y such that x is an element of real, comma y is an also element of real. An association between the set of all ordered pairs x, comma y of R cross R and the set of all points in the plane. The most widely used system that sets up an association between each point in a plane and a pair of real numbers is the what we call Cartesian coordinate system, and that is the R cross R, which is the set of all ordered pair x, comma y such that x element of R, comma y element of R. And yung history background ng what we call Cartesian plane, yung ang title nun ay The Fly on the Ceiling, or yung tinatawag natin ngayong rectangular coordinate system. So ito yung origin o yung pinagmulan ng Cartesian plane. So tingnan natin na yung history nitong Cartesian plane.
The Fly on the Ceiling, written by Dr. Julie Glass. This story is a story that is going to help you understand coordinate graphing. And the story is of a guy who lived a long time ago. He lived in France. He was a French guy, so he had a French name. His name was René Descartes. This may sound like a funny name to you, but in France, it's perfectly normal. René was a philosopher. A philosopher is someone who thinks about why things are the way they are. René was a great philosopher. Many of his ideas are still famous today. I think, therefore I am. I think. But even though René was a great philosopher, he did have one problem. He was messy. This problem started out small, but it got bigger and bigger. The funny thing was René did not know he had a problem until he started to lose things. His notebook, his favorite hat, his book about stars, his inkwell. Then he found the inkwell. Uh-oh. Now René knew he had a problem. It took him a moment to find his coat, his hat, and the front door. René went to his favorite bakery to buy a fresh loaf of bread. Then he headed to his favorite place to think, the banks of the River Seine. René ate some of the bread while he walked. He looked at the water and wondered how he could keep better track of his things. Night fell and René was still thinking. He was thinking so hard that he didn't look where he was going. Splash into the river René Descartes. When he was fished out of the water, he was cold and wet, and his bread was soggy. René walked home. By the time he got there, he was sneezing and wheezing. He crawled into bed and fell fast asleep. The next morning, René still felt dreadful. Not only that, he couldn't find a handkerchief or an extra blanket. or the logs to make a fire. He couldn't even find his soggy bread, which would have dried out by then. Rene crawled sadly back into bed. He stared at the ceiling. The ceiling was the only place in his room that wasn't messy. Rene wished that he lived on the neat ceiling instead of on the messy floor. Just then he noticed a fly on the ceiling. The fly flew off and landed near one corner. Then it flew off and landed in another corner. Then it landed above Rene's toes. Then it stopped right above Rene's head. Rene started to think. He wondered if the fly ever landed in the same place twice. This might seem like a weird thing to think about, but Rene was a philosopher, so it was normal for him. I need to record where the fly lands so I know how many times it lands in the same place, he thought. But how can I do that? Rene thought and thought. Suddenly he had a brilliant idea. It was so brilliant that he jumped out of bed and did a jig. He knew how to record exactly where the fly landed on the ceiling. Rene took a piece of charcoal from the fire. Then he climbed up on a chair and started drawing lines on the ceiling. Don't try this at home. Your parents wouldn't like that. First, Rene drew lines from the north wall to the south wall, so up and down. Then he drew lines from one side to the other. Then he numbered the lines along two of the walls. After that, he got back into bed. So you can see he's creating a coordinate grid. Rene watched the fly on the ceiling. When it landed, he counted the lines over to that spot. He wrote down the number of lines, 2. Then he counted the lines up to that spot and he wrote down the number 5. Together, the two numbers 2 and 5 told him exactly where the fly was. The numbers 2 and 5 are called coordinates. The first coordinate, 2, measures how far away the fly is from the left side. The second coordinate, 5, measures how far away the fly is from the bottom wall. So you can see the fly flew over 2, over, and up 5. Rene spent the whole morning watching the fly and sneezing. If you had gone to visit him, he might have said, the fly is over 6, or 6 over and 3 up, 6, 3, or the fly is 4 over, 7 up, coordinates of 4, 7, or the fly is 8 over and 1 up. Every spot on the ceiling had its own set of coordinates. Recording the coordinates of the fly over and over gave Rene another brilliant idea. Maybe he could keep track of his stuff the same way he kept track of the fly. It would be even easier because a hat can't get up and fly away. Rene jumped out of bed again. He pushed everything into the kitchen. Now the floor of his room was as clean as his ceiling, but he couldn't draw the grid on the floor with charcoal. It would rub off too soon. Rene went next door to see if his neighbor had any paint. What luck, his neighbor was a painter. And there they go, painting the floor. Then they went to the bakery to buy bread. By the time they got back, the paint had dried. The painter helped Rene put his things in place on the grid. They found Rene's hat, his star book, his quill pens, his old boots, his journal from when he was 10, and many things that Rene didn't even know they were missing. On a chart, Rene carefully recorded where everything went. Voila! So you can see his books are at 4-4, his star book is at 4-5, the cactus is at 3-8. After that, Rene's home was never messy again. Well, hardly ever. Rene's system caught on around the world. It was called the Cartesian coordinate system. Cartesian comes from Rene's last name, Descartes. Today, people still use the Cartesian coordinate system in many different ways. Okay, so maybe Rene Descartes wasn't really messy and maybe he really didn't fall into the saying or draw lines on a ceiling, but even if nobody knows exactly how he did it, it is a fact that Rene Descartes made the Cartesian coordinate system very popular, and he was a darn good philosopher too.
It's also clear.
Okay, so iyon ang background or history ng tinatawag nating Cartesian. Cartesian pala pronunciation. Cartesian coordinate plane or kasi mas familiar or mas nasanay ako na tawagin siya as Cartesian plane. Okay? So the Cartesian plane can be constructed by drawing two perpendicular real number lines that intersect at the origin O. The horizontal line is the x-axis and the vertical line is the y-axis. We denote all points that lie in the y-axis by ordered pair 0, y, and all points that lie in the x-axis as ordered pair x, 0. So, dito sa right side, ito yung ating two intersecting lines. Yung horizontal line, yan ang ating x-axis. At yung vertical line naman ay ang ating y-axis. Then, yung kanilang intersection, yon ang tinatawag natin na origin O. Okay? Consider a specific pair of numbers, say x sub 1 and y sub 1. If x sub 1 is positive, then it has a distance of x sub 1 units from the right of y-axis. If negative, then it is x sub 1 units from the left of y-axis. Similarly, if y is positive, then it has a distance of y sub 1 units above the x-axis. And if negative, then it is y sub 1 units below the x-axis. Hence, for every ordered pair x, y, we say x is the directed distance with respect to y-axis and y is the directed distance with respect to x-axis. So, ito yung ating example ng tinatawag nating two-dimensional coordinate system or mas kilala sa Cartesian plane. If the point P x, y, then x and y are the coordinates of P. In particular, x is the abscissa, yung first element, and y is the ordinate of P. Yung second element naman, yun ang ordinate. What is the abscissa of any point on the y-axis? So dito sa ating sketch, so yung ating Cartesian plane ay intersecting two lines, horizontal and vertical. So mula dun sa intersecting point, yun ang ating origin. Going to right horizontally ay mga positive numbers. And going to left horizontally, andun naman ang mga negative numbers. And yung mga nasa y-axis naman, from the origin going up vertically ay positive numbers and going down vertically ay mga negative numbers. In a rectangular coordinate plane, each point represents uniquely an ordered pair of real numbers x, y, and each ordered pair of real numbers x, y is represented by a point. Thus, a one-to-one correspondence is established between all points in the plane and the set of all ordered pairs x, comma, y. We will be repairing on the Cartesian plane whenever we are interested in the behavior of points that can be obtained if we plot the points according to some relationship. That is according to the way of the x and the y values in each ordered pair are related. Yung Cartesian plane, mas nagagamit natin yung lalo na kapag nandun na tayo sa relation and function, most especially if you're looking for the behavior of what we call function. Siyempre, pag uh, nag-locate ka or nag-plot ka ng mga points dun sa Cartesian plane where it is related to the given functions, then doon makaklasify or ma-determine mo yung tinatawag natin behavior of the given function. In example 1, let's say if the letter F is the set of ordered pair x, comma y such that y is the father of x, then this is the set of ordered pairs whose abscissas are sons and daughters, while the ordinates are father. Okay, kasi sabi dito sa ating ordered pair or yun sa ating elements, di ba? Y is the father of x. So meaning to say, yung y, yun yung second element. So therefore, it is the father. At kung target natin yung first element ng father, yun naman yung abscissas. So pwedeng sons and daughters. We call this the fatherhood relation. Okay, so let S is equal to the set of ordered pair x, comma y such that y is equal to x squared and x is an element of real number. Then S is the set of ordered pairs whose abscissas are real numbers and those ordinates are squares of real numbers. Kasi di ba dun sa ating given function, so the equation or the function is y equals x squared. Then by definition, x is also an element of real number. Therefore, yung x natin, yun yung abscissas, and it is real numbers. And yung ating ordinate naman, yung y, to get y, we have squares of the abscissa or the square of also real numbers. So the two coordinate axes divided the plane into 4 parts. Diba yung ating Cartesian plane, dinivide natin or nagmula sa intersecting two lines and it is subdivided into 4 parts. Tinatawag yan na first, second, third, and fourth quadrants. Ang start ng rotation ay counterclockwise, start to the upper right. So yung ating quadrant 1 at counterclockwise yung rotation. So ang second quarter natin ay nasa upper left, quadrant 2. At yung third quadrant natin ay nasa lower left, quadrant 3. At yung last quadrant yung nasa lower right. Okay? So try natin to. So doon sa ating question 1, letter A, abscissa 4 and ordinate negative 2. So ito yung ngayon yung kanyang points or plot. Next, yung letter B naman has coordinates point P 3, 5 point. So nandito yung 2, 3, 4. So nandito ang 3. Then 5 ang ating ordinate. So positive 5 nandito. Positive 4, 6, 4, 5, 3. So ito ngayon ang ating point P. Ito ang ating point P. Yan, sa point P. Yan, so, ang coordinates niya ay 3, 5. Next, point Q. Negative 5 ang abscissa at 0 naman yung ordinate. So, ang negative 5 ay nasa negative x-axis. So, nandito ang negative 5. Then, 0 ang ordinate. 0. So, ito ngayon ang ating point Q. At ang coordinates ng point Q ay negative 5, 0. And next, point R. Ang point R ay, ang coordinates ay negative 6, negative 3. So, ang location niya ay nasa third quadrant or quadrant 3. So, negative 6 and down to negative 3. So, nandito ngayon ang kanyang point R. At ang coordinates ay negative 6, negative 3. Okay? Okay, so for number 2, here's the question. What are the coordinates of a point, letter A, 9 units to the right of y-axis? So, ibig sabihin, iyon ay positive 9. Then, 2 units below x-axis, below x-axis. 2 units below x-axis. So, 2 units below x-axis. Ito daw ay 9 units to the right of y. So, 9 units to the right of y. So, mauna yung 9. So, mauuna ang 9. Then, followed by comma, 2 units below x-axis. Sa baba naman yan, negative 2. Okay? So, 9 units to the right of y. So, 9 units. Hindi natin makita yung ano. Yung 9 baba natin. Paboray na natin itong mga ano. So, 9 units to the right of x. So, kuhanin natin. 9 units. 9 units to the right of x. Ito ang x natin. So, mapupunta sa 9 units. Kita. Adjust pa natin. So, nandito yun. 9. Nandito siya. Then, bababa ka ng 2 units below x. So, 2 units. Ayan. Okay. So, 9, 2. So, nandito na ngayon yung ating point. Ayan. Okay. So, ang coordinates ito ay 9, negative 2. Okay. For number 3, give the coordinates of 4 points on a circle with its center at 1, 2. Paano man natin yung center ng circle? 1, 2. So, ito yung ating center. Yan. Okay? Then, ang radius niya ay 4. So, pwede tayong maglagay ng 4 units mula doon sa center. Bilang lang tayo. So, 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 unit, 4 unit. So, nandito yung isang points natin. So, ang coordinates naman ito ay, kasi gawin natin siyang point A. So, ang coordinates niya ay 5, 2. So, meron na tayo isa. Next, again, ito yung ating center, point C. Then, pwede tayong mag-allocate ng point above ng C. Started 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, nandito yung ating second point. Gawin natin siyang point B. At ang coordinates niya ay 1, 6. So, kailangan natin 4 points. So, meron na tayong 2 points, A, B. Next, another point. Mula sa center to the left naman, horizontally. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, nandito naman yung isa pang point. Lagyan natin siya na. Gawin natin point D. At ang coordinates niya ay -3, 2. And the last point, below naman ng point C. 1, 4 units ulit. 2, 3, 4. So, nandito naman ang kanyang point. Gawin natin siyang point D or point E. At ang coordinates ng point E ay 1, -2. Okay? So, yun yung ating answer. So, ang mga points natin ay 5, 2, 1, 6, -3, 2, at yung 1, -2. Okay? Okay, next, under pa rin ng Cartesian plane, yung tinatawag nating midpoint. So, the midpoint M such that oddly pair x, y of a line segment between any 2 points of p sub 1, x sub 1, y sub 1, and p sub 2 for the second point, x sub 2, y sub 2 is given by, ito yung gagamitin nating formula to locate the midpoint. Okay. So, ang gagawin mo lang yung abscissa ng dalawang points, kuhanin mo lang yung mean or yung average. Ganun din yung ating ordinates, the average and the mean or the mean of the ordinates, divide mo lang sa 2 para makuha natin yung midpoint. Yung midpoint kasi tinutukoy din yan as middle point. Diba? Pag sinabi natin midpoint, middle point. For example, meron tayong dalawang point, point A and point B. So, para makuha natin yung middle point ng dalawa, nandito yung ating point M. Yan yung kanyang middle point. Itong point A and point B, may mga coordinates yan. So, para makuha naman natin yung middle point, kuhanin mo lang yung average ng x coordinates at yung average ng y coordinates para sa middle point. Okay? Okay, next for the distance naman, the distance between any 2 points is sub 1 such that x sub 1, y sub 1, and the second point p sub 2 such that x sub 2, y sub 2 is given by, so distance naman ito ng 2 points. So distance equals to the absolute value of 0.1 or P1 and 0.2 or P2 of the line is square root of quantity x sub 2 minus x sub 1 square plus quantity y sub 2 minus y sub 1 square. Distance formula naman to. So yung nakikita nyo ngayon, ito yung tinatawag nating distance formula. So D is equals to P sub 1 and P sub 2. The distance is the square root of quantity x sub 2 minus x sub 1 square plus quantity y sub 2 minus y sub 1 square. Okay? Okay, next, yung tinatawag naman natin slope. If P sub 1 or 0.1, which is x sub 1, y sub 1, and 0.2, x sub 2, comma, y sub 2 are 2 points with different abscissas, and then the slope of the line containing n is defined to be some character na gagamit natin for slope is m. So, small m. Then, the formula is the ratio of y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. How about kung kailangan natin kuhain ng slope ng 0? So, paano ang ano niyan? Ang kanyang presentation. So, kung ang slope natin ay 0, ibig sabihin ng m ay 0, ang magiging presentation niya, ang kanyang graph sa Cartesian ay magiging horizontal line. Okay, so yun ang ating magiging presentation, slope 0. Kapag naman positive, rise to the right. So, kung nandito yung point mo, rise to the right, pag ganyan. So, yung mga ganyang tsura, yan ay positive slope. At kung negative naman, so mula doon sa point, falls to the right. Yan. So, ganito naman yung magiging negative slope. Okay? So, yan ang ating negative slope. Okay, so we have the given 2 points. First point is negative 4, comma, negative 7. And second point, x 6, comma, 19. So we are looking for the midpoint, distance, and slope. So lagyan muna natin siya ng ang negative 4, yun yung magiging x sub 1 natin. At negative 7, yun yung y sub 1. For the point 2, 6 ang ating magiging x sub 2. At 19 yung ating y sub 2. Okay, so we are looking for the midpoint. So for midpoint, we have the average of x sub 1, negative 4, plus x sub 2, 6, all over 2. At yun namang sa y, we have the negative 7 plus 19 all over 2. Okay? Para sa x coordinate, so negative 4 plus 6, that is positive 2 over 2. At doon naman sa y, negative 7 plus 19, that is 12 over 2. Therefore, ang ating magiging midpoint ay 2 divides 2, that is 1. And 12 divides 2, that is 6. Okay, so, ang midpoint natin ay 6. Okay? Next, looking for the distance. So, meron na tayong midpoint. Next, distance naman. Okay, gamitin natin yung formula. So, we have the square root of, so distance, square root of x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So, that is 6 minus negative 4 square. Then, plus y sub 2, 19 minus negative 7 square. Okay. So, we have the square root of 6 minus negative 4, and that is 10 square, plus 19 minus negative 7, and that is 26. Tama. 26 square. Yan. Okay, so continue natin. So, square root ng 10 square, and that is 100, plus 26 square, or 26 times 26. So, meron tayong 600,
52.
676. Tama, 26 square. Ayan, 676. Then, i-add natin yung dalawa. So, 676 plus 100, meron tayong 776. 776. So, kung kukuhain natin yung square root nun, tingnan natin kung exact. Pwedeng ano siya. So, kung kailangan natin ng exact, pwedeng ang maging sagot mo ay 2 square root of 194, or approximate. Pag ginawa natin yung approximate niya, ay pwedeng 27.86 units. 27.86 units. Okay? So, yan ang ating magiging sagot sa distance nung dalawang points. Okay, so for the third, we have looking for the slope of the given 2 points. So, ang formula natin ay the ratio of m is equals to the ratio of y sub 2, which is 19, minus y sub 1, and that is negative 7. Then, denominator natin ay x sub 2, 6, minus negative 4, yung y sub 1. And therefore, we have 19 minus negative 7, and that is 26, over 6 minus negative 4, and that is 10. So, ang slope natin ay 26 divided by 10. Pwede mo siyang i-lowest term. 13 over 5. Diba? Pwede siyang 13 over 5. or approximate 2.6 2.6 units. And that's it.